There appears to be a lot of drama between Steve Harvey and his favorite daughter Lori, because the streets are claiming that Steve has a serious problem with Lori's recent cover for Playboy magazine because it is, to put it mildly, sexy. Lori has been a highly controversial figure in the last few years because of her love life, dating some of the biggest eligible bachelors in Hollywood. Her love life has been so messy that Steve has been accused of pimping her out to several men in the industry, but based on Steve's reported reaction, it appears that Lori has been doing that on her own. The streets are saying that Steve is not handling Lori's decision well, especially since there are rumors that she may be selling her naughty picture. Even though we haven't seen the full photos from the photo shoot, the sneak peeks we've seen so far are more than enough to reassure us that this particular photo shoot is going to be among the sexiest we've seen from the magazine. Lori doing this for Playboy magazine wasn't on our bingo cards for 2025, but here we are. If there's one thing we know about the photo shoot, it's that it's not for the faint of heart. When we first saw the video, fans were all over Steve Harvey, accusing him of forcing Lori to do things like this even though it wasn't exactly what she wanted. In case you missed it, there have been long-running rumors that Steve was the driving force behind Lori's very public love life, which is why she always seems to be in the right place at the right time to meet all the eligible bachelors in Hollywood. For a long time, this story made a lot of sense because it explained why Lori's love life exceeded that of her siblings, including Steve's biological daughters, and caused a lot of conflict in the family because the other children were envious of Lori's fame. According to an insider, Steve did the right thing adopting Marjorie's kids and loves them like his own. But there's a lot of dissension among the blended Harvey clan. This also clarifies why Steve spends so much time with Lori and not the other children. He even frequently takes her out on father-daughter dates.
On one of our annual father-daughter dates to my favorite Japanese restaurant, and you just started talking to me about guys, and you just told me that you always supported me and you'd always be there for me no matter what, and you loved me unconditionally.
In addition to not giving his other children preferential treatment, he was essentially a deadbeat the entire time. For instance, his son Burke disclosed that he didn't even date Steve until he was around 15 or 16. This revelation saying, "I went to high school with the twins. They were a few years ahead of me, but people always talked, and all eyes were on them because of who their father was. He wasn't present at their graduation." Steve Harvey doesn't seem to care much about Marjorie's other kids. Yeah, he adopted all three, but let's be real. Lori is his clear favorite. The difference in treatment is impossible to ignore. While the other kids were left in the background, Steve was always front and center for Lori, hyping her up and standing by her side. Whether she was booking modeling gigs, dating high-profile men, or shining on the red carpet, Steve was right there, smiling for the cameras and backing her every move. And people noticed. His favoritism was obvious, and it's no surprise that resentment built up. Being proud of a stepchild is one thing, but putting one on a pedestal while the others get pushed aside? That's bound to stir up hard feelings. And those father-daughter outings? Yeah, they only made things worse, especially with all the shady rumors about Steve allegedly pimping Lori out. Were those just innocent bonding moments, or was he deliberately placing her in the right circles for his own benefit? And if so, what was his endgame? Speaking of elite circles, Lori's dating history is full of big names: Future, Michael B. Jordan, and most recently, Damson Idris. When she went public with Michael in late 2020, people thought she hit the jackpot. He was people's sexiest man alive, a Hollywood A-lister, and had never been this openly in love before. They gave fans Instagram-worthy moments, luxurious vacations, and even matching outfits. It was the whole fairy tale. Michael looked all in, spoiling Lori with expensive gifts, renting out aquariums for private dates, and flaunting her like she was the one. But then came June 2022, and just like that, they were done. Word on the street? Michael was ready to settle down, but Lori wasn't. Fans joked that her subscription to MBJ expired and that Steve blocked the renewal because he had other plans for her. And just like clockwork, Lori popped up with Damson Idris by January 2023. They went Instagram official after he posted a story of him kissing her on the cheek. That's all it took for the streets to get the message. But something felt off. This relationship wasn't like her past ones. The public moments were minimal, and people weren't convinced there was real chemistry. Yeah, they hit a few red carpets together, But by November 2023, it was over. Insiders whispered that the whole thing had been a PR stunt, allegedly orchestrated by Steve himself. Lori got clout from being linked to another Hollywood name, while Damson got a publicity boost. A win-win, right? But at what point do we ask, was Lori in on these PR relationships? Or was Steve pulling the strings the whole time? And if these rumors are true, what does that say about Steve's influence over her life? Then there's the messiest relationship of them all, Diddy. When Lori started dating him, the internet lost it. She was just 22 while he was nearly 50, a 28-year age gap. That alone had people talking. But it gets worse. Diddy had known Lori for years before they got together. He and Steve moved in the same circles, and while they weren't besties, they were close enough. The fact that Diddy knew Lori when she was still a minor, yeah, that made things awkward. She was practically like family to him, and then, suddenly, he was dating her? But the real scandal? The rumor that Lori not only dated Diddy but also his son. That was next-level messy. People ran wild with it, but Lori quickly shut it down, denying she had ever been romantically involved with both father and son. Still, with all the speculation surrounding Steve's role in Lori's relationships, it makes you wonder, was she really calling the shots? Or has Steve been behind the scenes playing puppet master this whole time? And if he was, what does that say about their relationship? How deep does this really go?
Get written about you in the press, but I've always wanted to know, what is like the biggest misconception about who Lori Harvey is?
It's so funny because I'm so quiet.
Yeah.
There's been so many stories that have been made up about me. Like I've seen stories about me being like fully in love with somebody and we have like this whole relationship, and I'll see the guy and I'm like, I've actually never even met him before.
No.
Like full-blown stories I've heard. I've dated a father and son before.
Fans have always blamed Steve for all of this because they believe he forced her to do all of this, even though there is no proof of him doing anything. However, with her recent photo shoot with Playboy and the rumors of his strong reaction, it appears that everything has been about Lore. The issue of Playboy, in which Lori is featured, is set to be a big deal because it will be Playboy's first physical copy in 5 years, and they are planning a very big rollout. This means that we will see some extremely risque photos of Lori in the upcoming weeks, which is supposedly not something Steve wants to see. You recall how he reacted to this innocent photo of Lori and MBJ?
Never seen that picture before. Very uncomfortable with that picture right there.
When you consider that Lori hasn't been making headlines in the last few months, hasn't really had any new endorsements, and her skincare brand Skin by LH hasn't been doing so well, there haven't been any updates from the brand's social media, and it's been crickets for a while. It's possible that she might be struggling financially, which would explain why she posed for Playboy. If he's that bothered about that innocent picture, can you imagine how he would feel seeing her in those sultry photos? It appears that we may have been misjudging Steve all along, but I'd like to hear your opinions, so please leave a comment below and watch the next video.